Welcome, everybody, to the Fantasy Six-Pack NFL Betting Show. I'm your host at Actively Lazy 85. I'm trying to get in before this Thursday night football game. I do apologize for being a couple days late. I've had a busy schedule this week with hopefully an opportunity to do something with ESPN Radio here in Richmond. So it set me back a little bit this week, but I'm here live to get you a couple plays before tonight, and then also to go over my favorite plays for this week. Before we start, as always, if you want to be a part of the Fantasy Six-Pack group, if you want to get our live bets, advice for daily fantasy, if you want to get into the basketball swing before the season starts on Tuesday, be sure to check us out at fantasysixpack.com / Man, I messed that up. I was trying to do that without reading the promo, and that obviously failed on me. But just go to the Fantasy Six-Pack website, check us out, sign up for a package, join the Discord, and pray for me to get this promo right at some point. I pulled a Keith just now. And if you get a chance, check out the DFS show that should be coming on later today as well. We will jump into Thursday Night Football. Forget my blunder. Let's get to it. We've got the Jaguars and the Saints. Saints are currently favored by 2. The over-under is 40.5. Looking at this game, the main story here is the health of Trevor Lawrence, the starting quarterback of the Jacksonville Jaguars. He is expected to play. Had what they classified as a mild knee strain. Not sure how it could be mild, but then you need a test before the game to get going. Either way, throw it out the window. Trevor said he's playing, and so he will be in the game. The story here also for me is that we really don't know as fans or as cappers what team is going to show up. Jacksonville's had a couple good games. Saints have been up and down a little this week or over the past couple weeks. And honestly, with the offense, the issue is they just haven't scored enough points. But I'm going to go ahead and lean to the Saints to cover tonight, win outright. The health of Trevor Lawrence is really an issue for me. We're also talking about the mobility as well. And so I am not sure if that works personally for me. I'm going to side with the healthier team. Also, Saints coming in with a top 5 defense should be a good look for them as well. Josh, I am not the DFS guy, unfortunately, but Keith and Joe will be on later. And there's a couple other guys if you are on the Discord or just hit the Twitter handle and they can answer that question for you. I don't want to mess up. No, it's okay, Josh. I don't want to mess up your lineup there. All right. My prop for tonight, Taysom Hill plus 290 anytime score. I think it's worth a shot here. You got a gadget guy in Taysom Hill, and then you're almost getting 3-1 on him. And just with the red zone inability for the Saints to really put the ball in the end zone, if they do get down close or it gets a little wonky, I think we got a good shot of seeing Taysom Hill in some packages. They do love to try to get him to score. You got the short week. He hasn't featured much this year in the offense, so I just think it's a good risk-reward play here at almost 3-1 to get Taysom Hill to score. Moving into Sunday, there's only 13 games this week. One of the trends from last week, the under was 12-2-1. So if you're looking to play unders, red zone ability, red zone scoring has just been down this year. It has nothing to do with the players. I honestly think it's more on the coaches. Some of you guys who've been following me for the last couple of weeks, even some of the guys who follow me on Twitter know that I am not a fan of terrible play calling and decision-making, and that has plagued the league. But the Commanders, because we only have 13 games to choose from, I have the Commanders as one of my favorite plays this week. They are laying 3 on the road against the Giants, over under 37.5. Now, Daniel Jones usually destroys the Washington defense for some reason. He has great games against them. He's not going to play to my knowledge, and so that makes me happier to take a risk with the Commanders laying the 3. They didn't end that second half well against the Falcons last week, but still somehow found a way to win. I think they should be able to get going in this game a little bit earlier. Giants don't really give much resistance. Yes, the Bills kind of struggled with them last week, but I think that's just more of an indication of the Bills trying to overcome some of those injuries, which I'll get into later, than the Giants actually taking any steps forward. They still seem a little dysfunctional on the sidelines. Tyrod Taylor has the ability to be a playmaker, but I don't see them stretching the field enough to really challenge this Commander secondary or running the ball well enough to challenge that Commander's front. So I will lay the 3 here in the divisional game. Going into my next favorite play, Lions +3 at the Ravens over unders 43. And there's a lot of talk about the Lions coming in, playing in the elements, this and that. But the weather's going to be fairly nice on Sunday. There's no precipitation in the forecast, and the temperature around kickoff will be at the lowest, probably in the upper 50s. And this team's from Detroit. Like, it's not like they're playing in a tundra. That should be fine. I think Baltimore, like, laying 3 against a team that I personally think are one of the top 5 teams in the league. I think we're getting some love here with the Lions. I really like the idea of getting 3 with them. You just saw this team week 1 going into Kansas City. That line dropped all the way down to like 4, almost 3.5, I think, there. And then you're still getting 3 points with the Ravens. The Ravens defense and team in general just has not been challenged much with the competition level from opposing quarterbacks. Jared Goff's playing at a high level. There are injury concerns with Montgomery. Gibbs may come back. But personally, I've read reports that they have Ibrahim, who was a Minnesota running back, actually a really good talent. I'm totally shocked he didn't make it on a team, but I apparently read that he got hurt during preseason that set him back. But he's supposed to be on the roster, maybe even getting some carries this game. I still think they run the ball well enough. Their receiving core is healthy enough. They should challenge Baltimore. I wouldn't be surprised if they outright won. I think we need to invest in this team as gamblers and just as fans in general. This Lions team looks legit this year. Baltimore just not closing out games like they should. Even last week, the only reason why they covered was more so because Malik Willis forgot that he was, in a live game and not in practice. He just took like 6 straight sacks. But the Titans had went down the field and were on the edge of scoring and making that cover pretty interesting. So let me get the Lions. I know there's also some folks who are like, well, Baltimore is coming back from London. There's not a lot of data supporting that teams that come from London back to the East Coast have any like lacks in their play. So I'm taking this game outright on the idea that the Lions are just a better team than the Ravens. Going out west, Rams hosting the Steelers. Rams favored by 3, over unders 44. I just don't think the Steelers offense is giving the Rams much to like fear here. And you got Cooper Kupp back, Puka Nacua. I think as the season gets longer, this offense is going to get better with those two guys coming in and getting acclimated and playing with each other. I think they had a really good showing last week against the Cardinals. You beat teams how they're supposed to be beat. The Rams have been competitive in games where they were expected to compete, and they've covered and won in games where they were expected to win and cover. At 3 is probably the perfect line here. Would love to see Aaron Donald get a little disruptive. If they can get Pickett to turn the ball over, honestly, the way the Steelers offense has looked, I don't think, if they get up by 14, that they have a lot to worry about as long as they just stay efficient is what I would say here. The over-under at 44, I would give a look at the under here for this game. Just again, the Steelers offense has just been really, really bad, and I like the idea of the Rams covering at home still. Chargers traveling to Kansas City. Chargers lines plus 5.5. The over-under is at 48. I like the Chargers to give them a good run for their money in this game and maybe even win outright. It's just a situational play for me. The last couple years that the Chargers and Chiefs have played, their games have been decided by a field goal, whether it be in Kansas City or in LA or San Diego. I think one of those games is at San Diego. The reason for that, honestly, a lot of times comes down to Staley's ability to manage the game. Him going for it on fourth downs when he probably should punt, and him punting when he probably should go for it. I think that's really the margin of error here is truly based on how Brandon Staley manages the game. The Chargers got to be in desperation mode a little bit here. They don't want to fall too far behind on the Chiefs. Chiefs have a cushion coming into this game. Obviously would like to beat a divisional opponent, but I still think there's something about the Chiefs that says that they're going to win games, but they're still not necessarily covering at a high rate. They need a little help to get these covers. And so let me get the Chargers here in a desperation game for them where they just answer the bell. I'm going to take a risk with them outright winning as well, but also really take this 5.5 here. And then we go to the Sunday night game, which is the Dolphins traveling to the Philadelphia Eagles. That spread is now at 2.5. The over-under is at 51.5. I love the Eagles in this spot. Just think the physicality of the Eagles up front on both sides of the ball will be the deciding factor here in this particular game. We know what the Dolphins offense can do. We know how explosive they can be. That will always be in the back of my mind as a threat. The Eagles secondary is probably their weakest link, but you can't underestimate or undervalue what Jalen Carter and this disruptive Eagles front can do to the timing of the Dolphins. And I think the Dolphins offense is the timing of that offense is everything. If Tua can get that first read and get the ball out of his hands quickly, they're going to be a problem. If he can't, then you see what you saw in the Bills game. And I think the Bills, game plan-wise, have the right approach to playing the Dolphins. If I see the Eagles in a lot of man-to-man, I'll just hedge because they will get absolutely whipped if they try any kind of man-to-man with this Dolphins team, honestly. They have to play a lot of zone in this game, and they have to depend on those guys up front, and those guys up front have to win that battle to really disrupt everything that they've got going on the Dolphins side of the ball. Offensively, I mean, the Eagles took a step back last week, but the Jets are a totally different defense than the Dolphins. I don't foresee that being an ongoing issue. Even with the turnovers, I just think it'll be okay. With Jalen hurt, he's got to get it together. I know they picked up Julio Jones this week. That does absolutely nothing for the offense or for the line. But if he can get back to his roots of distributing the ball effectively, and for some reason, find your tight ends. I don't know why people keep forgetting. Those are probably the best mismatches on the field. Is the teams with elite tight ends, they need to get the ball to those tight ends, create that mismatch, give yourself an option with different looks. And in this case, 12 personnel. I haven't seen the Dolphins do a lot of like heavy packages, but I do recall a couple times last year they did have that in their system. This would be a perfect time to bring that back because, again, the Dolphins, for all that they are offensively, they're a little weak on defense. And I think that power game that the Eagles provide is what will propel them to a win here and a cover. So for honorable mention, I did talk about the Patriots here, or the Bills actually, and their injuries. So the Bills have a very unique situation where they have a major injury at all three levels of their defense. So D-line, they're missing one of their best edge rushers, if not their best edge rusher this year. Linebacker, everybody knows about their linebacker injury, and that is significant. He's without a doubt their best linebacker. And then in the secondary, they're missing their best corner. That is a lot to overcome for any team in general, and especially a team that really needs their starters. If the best I could equate it to what I was telling somebody the other day is if the Cowboys lost Lawrence, if they also lost Micah, and then they turned around and lost Diggs as well, that would be detrimental to that defense. And that's what I think the Bills have. And in the same breath, the Patriots offense has not given anybody any reason to think that they would come out and win a game. But hear me out. Last year, the Patriots provided a great example of what to do to the Bills, and that was basically punch them in the mouth, just go power, make it an ugly game, and shut down Diggs. I think that same game plan will work in this scenario as well. Patriots just go heavy packages, run the ball, make it an ugly game. Make sure you bracket Diggs, make Josh Allen look the other way, and I think that would work. I have personal concerns with the Bills' offensive structure. I, I'm all for guys getting targets, but it's like they only target Diggs. And the times they use Gabe Davis, which anybody that's been following me this year knows I love to bet a Gabe Davis touchdown prop. And a lot of times that is strategically placed. But nevertheless, I feel like Gabe Davis needs to feature a lot more than what they're giving him. And this is a game where they're going to force the ball to go to Gabe Davis, I believe. So if you're interested in some prop work, I would take a hard look at Gabe Davis. I think they're going to go hard at containing Stephon Diggs, and Davis should get plenty of targets, plenty of opportunities to get over his yardage and so forth. I expect the Patriots to play a lot of bend but don't break, which is what they're known for anyway. And to cover this 8.5, potentially a money line play. I do have a parlay where I think I'm going to do the Lions, the Patriots, and the Chargers as my dog money line parlay. The Patriots here as a money line play is just strategically on the odds. And to me, the Patriots are not an 0-17 team. They've got to win a game at some point. The Bills are literally reeling. We just saw them play Monday night and struggle against a makeshift Giant squad. Division opponent on the road. Perfect opportunity for an upset here, if you ask me. My second honorable mention is the Falcons at the Bucs. I can't quit the Falcons. I really need to. I don't know why. But the Bucs are one of the worst teams in first and third downs. Their offense has been atrocious. And the only time they've actually looked like they can win football games is when people help them. I don't think Desmond Ridder can play any worse than he played last week. And even with him playing bad last week, they still had an opportunity to win the game. It's just some clock management and just some issues with the coaching staff on the Falcons sideline ultimately led to them losing that game, if you ask me, outside of Desmond Ridder's poor play. He finally lost at home. I think he finally gets a win on the road, just to even it out. And I like the Falcons here. Underrated defense on the Falcons side of the ball. Just like, you could argue that the Bucs defense is a little underrated, especially their rush defense. I believe it's still top 10. That could create an issue, but I feel like if the Falcons get creative with Bijan Robinson like they've been doing for the most part, putting him in the passing game, incorporating him in the passing game again with London, with Pitts, would be too much for the Buccaneers to overcome. And, you can expect a Baker Mayfield turnover or two in this game as well. The last game, because, again, we only got 13 games. I mean, I could have put the Niners here. I could have taken the risk of doing the Packers and Broncos. But I opted to add the Raiders in here. Yes, Jimmy G is hurt, but the Bears are not a good team, even with Justin Fields. And now they've got a backup quarterback coming in who didn't look like he knew what he was doing for real. And the Raiders defense, pass rush wise, has been pretty good this year. And I think this is an opportunity to bet on the defense and on the rookie in Aiden O'Connell, who should do just enough to get this covered. I would not be shocked to see the Raiders win by like 10. I would actually be shocked if they were not able to handle this Bears offense and defense. Both sides of the ball for the Bears right now are reeling with injuries and issues. And we didn't even mention the running back injuries as well. The Raiders are coming in significantly healthier. Even with Jimmy G out, this line moved half a point. That should tell you all you need to know, honestly, about the worth of Jimmy G to Vegas and just the worth of Jimmy G to that team. I think Aiden O'Connell gives them a better shot. If he played a little bit more, got more experience under his belt, I think long-term he would be a better option than Jimmy G. And that's just because Jimmy G holds the ball too long and he stares down receivers still. Like, I don't understand how he gets away with it. But I know there's a lot of like talk of Devontae Adams being unhappy. I think people kind of misunderstood what he was saying. He came to Oakland or Vegas to be the featured receiver, and they're not designing plays for him as the featured receiver. If you don't believe me, as far as like, or if you're not siding with him, go back and look at that Monday night game and look at Peyton and Eli and how they break it down. And just even they were frustrated as former quarterbacks. Like, why are we not targeting our number one receiver? Why do we go out in the offseason, get aggressive, bring him in, and we're not designing plays to get him the ball? We've got to put him in the backfield and run a reverse. Like, what are we doing? Or end around? That's not what we got Devontae Adams for. And I think he was just kind of expressing that as a player. And I think some people are getting these wide receiver ones, like they're getting the wrong impression. Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, Devontae Adams, Stephon Diggs. They're four guys that you have to get them the ball or the offense isn't as efficient. That's all they're saying. Throw me the ball. Throw me the ball. Design plays. Get me the ball. Now, with that being said, you have to build off that once you get it done. Like, all right, if I got Diggs 13 targets, Gabe Davis should have 9 or 10. He should be getting open. So design the plays, scheme them open. Let's get back to what we do best. And I think that's what Devontae Adams was saying. That's what Jamar Chase was complaining about with Joe Burrow and that team. Like, hey, I'm always open. Throw me the ball. And I know there's another side where people are like, well, Devontae Adams' best game, they didn't win, and he got 13 targets and X amount of yards and 2 touchdowns. That was not Devontae Adams' fault at all. Actually, the only reason they were in the position to be competitive in that game was because of what he did. And then likewise, Myers compliments Devontae Adams. And at the end of the day, that was on the defense and on Jimmy G, who turned the ball over. Like, that's not on the receivers. The teams who find a way to get their playmakers the ball are the teams that will win. And at the end of the day, that's what the NFL is. That concept of team play, I think, is out the window now. Get your playmakers the ball. If 20 targets to Diggs is how we're moving the ball, then I need to get him 20 targets. I need to find 20 ways to get him the ball and then build off of that as the week goes on or as the season goes on. But never should we come into a game and not find at least 10 targets to our wide receiver one. And that goes for any team that has a true wide receiver one. You should not go into a game not getting them their stats because you're not going to win that way. You're not going to move the ball effectively without getting them their stats. That is my low-key way of complaining about Arthur Smith yet again. But in the last couple of weeks, he's found a way to get London and Pitts the ball consistently, and lo and behold, they've been competitive. And the games that they've lost during those last couple of weeks has nothing to do with those guys. It's more to do with the quarterback play. But they are a more competitive team and a more threatening team when they get their playmakers the ball. It's like a crazy take for some reason to some of these guys. But anyway, that is my rant. Good luck to you guys this week. There's only 13 games. Do not be afraid to take a shot at the Patriots to win outright, the Chargers to win outright. I mean, we just saw the Eagles lose and the Niners lose, which, by the way, were the two most bet teams in week 6 on the tickets and on the money, and they both outright lost. Hey, you can catch these teams in certain situations, and you can make a profit. You really can. So do not be afraid to take risks this week. As always, follow me on Twitter at ActivelyLazy85. If you have any questions, you're in the Discord channel, just at me. I'm as active as I can be, but like I said, I do have a couple side endeavors going. So I may not catch it in real time, but I will always try to check it anytime before kickoff and help anybody out any way I can. All right, see you guys next week.